Regular unleaded petrol facing crackdown. Australia's most popular petrol would be phased out within 2 years under a plan to improve fuel quality standards being proposed by the Turnbull government. In a discussion paper released this week, the government proposes 5 scenarios to update existing fuel standards, one of which would see 91-octane regular unleaded petrol phased out over 2 to 5 years. Australian fuel is rated the dirtiest out of 35 OECD countries based on sulphur content. The government's proposals center around setting maximum sulphur limits, which would potentially cost the country's remaining 4 oil refineries billions of dollars to implement. Regular unleaded petrol makes up 73% of all petrol sold in Australia, excluding NSW, where the state government's ethanol mandate has driven motorists to buy more expensive premium unleaded, shunning E10. In NSW, premium makes up 54% of petrol sales, followed by E10 with 36% and 10% for regular. Nationally, excluding NSW, premium accounts for 23% and E10 just 4%. On average, 95-octane premium unleaded is 11.5 cents per liter more expensive than regular petrol, and 98-octane is 18.5 cents per liter more expensive. The paper says particular attention will be given to the impacts of the proposals across socio-economic groups, which it says is particularly relevant for the phase-out of regular unleaded petrol. NRMA spokesman Peter Cowrie said, "While there was no doubt we need to make our fuel cleaner, there would be a large cost factor for consumers in getting rid of regular unleaded petrol. The gap between E10 and 98-octane on average is 21 cents per liter, and on any given day it can be as much as 30 cents or 40 cents. He told news.com.au. There are no safeguards in place to protect motorists from exorbitant charges when these fuels come in, and if you're taking out 91-octane, you're giving them no choice." Mr. Cowrie said the NRMA didn't agree with government's position that the higher costs of new cars under the new environmental standards would be offset by savings from greater fuel efficiency. Manufacturers lab test their cars. Real-world performance is much worse. Our analysis is performance is 20% worse, in some instances 35% worse than what the manufacturers are telling us, he said. The government needs to tell people what the costs are going to be based on the actual costs, not costs based on false data. And the best way to do that is for the government to take a leadership role in performing real-world testing. 5 proposals to reform fuel standards. A. Australia's fuel standards remain in effect in their current form, business as usual. Petrol standards retained. Unleaded petrol, 91 RON, with a maximum sulphur limit of 150 ppm. Premium unleaded petrol, 95 RON, with a maximum sulphur limit of 50 ppm. Diesel standard continues to specify a maximum sulphur limit of 10 ppm and derived cetane number of 51 for diesel containing biodiesel only. B. Revisions to the fuel standards to align with the recommendations of the Hart Report and to harmonize with European standards. Unleaded petrol, 91 RON, would be phased out over a specified period of time, e.g. 2 to 5 years. Sulphur in premium unleaded petrol, 95 RON, would be limited to 10 ppm, and a new octane standard for premium unleaded petrol, 98 RON, introduced. More stringent requirements would be introduced for cetane and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon levels in diesel. C. Revisions to the fuel standards to align with the recommendations of the Hart Report and to harmonize with European standards as per alternative B above, except that unleaded petrol, 91 RON, is retained but with a lower sulphur level of 10 ppm. D. Revisions to the fuel standards as per alternative B above, except with even stricter parameters, including for cetane levels in diesel to harmonize with the standards recommended by the Worldwide Fuel Charter that recommends the fuel quality required by car companies to meet particular emission standards. E. Staged introduction of world standards from 2020, with a review in 2022 to determine next steps. Unleaded petrol, 91 RON, would be retained. Sulphur would be reduced to 50 ppm for unleaded petrol, 91 RON, and 25 ppm for premium unleaded petrol, 95 RON, and a new octane standard for premium unleaded petrol, 98 RON, introduced. Revisions to other parameters, as per alternative B above. Source: Better fuel for cleaner air. Frank.Chung at news.com.au